Hello there, beautiful beings. Rosie Glow Hannah's here with a little energy update for you ahead of this lunar eclipse, the blood moon lunar eclipse, the power of 1,000 full moons that's taking place on the 16th. So the early hours of the 16th of May. Now, I love to do these little updates. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a multidimensional success coach, also a galactic healer, and these specific updates and preparations for StarSeeds, because those of us who recognize we are StarSeeds are here to do something different to the mass populace. And here's the deal. Those of us who are here to awaken to our soul consciousness are here as the leaders of the new earth paradigm, 5D paradigm. And those of us who don't really identify with being a starseed are younger souls. And we are going to be the ones, or they are going to be the ones, or the collective that is going to be creating the new 3D reality, which is what I would call a holistic third dimension. What is the difference? Well, the difference is whether we're going to be self-governing or still looking to external authority to tell us what to do. And both are going to coexist at the same time. But the power of this very beautiful healing opportunity that is this blood moon in Scorpio, the blood moon lunar eclipse in Scorpio, is that we get to ditch our deepest fears. We get to fall in love with our shadow. We get to allow ourselves to drop all the stuff that really destabilizes us, because we've just had the new moon in Taurus, and the new moon in Taurus is all about setting the foundations for secure, stable growth in a new world that we're creating. So how do we embrace change? How do we imagine the very best possible scenario and line up with that? How do we create the kind of foundations and have the sort of roots that are going to sustain regenerative growth in the new world that we are co-creating? That's what the new moon is about. And of course, the full moon is about clearing the resistance to this. So what ends up happening is with the full moon energy comes all the shadow fears. And with Scorpio basically being the full moon host, that's the deepest, darkest underworld fears. And typically that's going to be death, suffering, loss, pain, right? The things that as a human being, you know, a soul in a physical body is going to really struggle with. This is the stuff we try and avoid at all costs. And yet so much of it is illusionary and is made worse by what we actually focus on in the world around us. So we are shifting our perspective with this full moon. We are allowing what needs to go to go. With the new moon in Taurus, we would have actually really received some information about how we would like to progress in our lives. What is the version of us that we want to become? That healthy, happy, wealthy version of ourselves, right? That's in love, is a beautiful example of a thriving human. Let's just say that was the gift of the new moon in Taurus. Now with the full moon in Scorpio, we're really going to be pulling out all of the stuff that keeps us in a 3D consciousness. And I've been talking for a little while here as the maverick of the Star Peace movement about making a global shift from an addiction to adrenaline, fear, cortisol, all the stress hormones, and being in a constant state of struggle, to shifting into a global addiction to love, to the hormone oxytocin, which is the love hormone, to thriving, to expecting the best rather than worse, to seeing the very best examples of humanity in operation, compassion, consciousness, connection to the earth. Like this is the invitation, right? So what we are required to do if we want to make a shift from adrenaline to oxytocin is unplug from the fear matrix and plug into the divine matrix, which is the 3D to 5D shift. The way through that, the corridor, the birth canal, is the fourth dimension. So it's navigating through the mind and getting the mind to entrain with the heart rather than the heart entraining with the mind. And what I mean by this is really making your mind your friend. So typically speaking, some of the stuff we really need to let go of is the self-judgment. It's the expecting the worst of people, judging others, the blame, the guilt, the shame, right? So really paying attention to your internal dialogue is so important, because if there is something you really want to shift in your life, if you're approaching it from a unpleasant and unhelpful messaging in your internal rhetoric, it's not likely you will succeed because you're not being very kind to yourself. When we move from judgment to curiosity, all sorts of wonderful things happen. And that is the invitation here about letting go of healing our deepest fears. And that is what I'm inviting you to. So what I typically do is I will always offer my transmissions and my co-creations just ahead of that PowerPoint. So the eclipse is actually going to be on the 16th. It's at 5:15 a.m. in the UK. So take away 5 hours for Eastern time, take away 8 for Pacific time. So it will be the 16th, or the 15th for some of you, okay, depending on where you are in the world. So I'm going to be hosting my full moon energy healing light language transmission on Thursday, the 12th of the month. And that will be at 8 p.m. BST, okay, UK time, which is 3 p.m. EST and midday PST. And you can access it through going to the rosieglow.com store. It's literally there, the new full moon inner circle. Now, this is not something I do here on YouTube because it's a very deep healing and clearing. And for those of you who are interested in our work at Rosie Glow, this is your invitation to dip your toe in to my inner circle. So those who are working with me through our coaching programs, working with us through our coaching programs, and graduates of our coaching programs. So when you pay that nominal fee, you're coming into a really high frequency container to be able to do this deep clearing. And of course, the sessions are recorded. So even if you can't join us live, you can always catch the replay. It's on the 12th. So we've got 2-3 days to build up to really make the most of using these energies of letting go to release the version of ourselves that we're not taking into the new world. Because there are those of us who are training as divine human leaders. And those are the ones that are feeling the call as starseeds to awaken and embrace this 5D consciousness and build the new earth. And there are those of us who will entrain with that frequency, who typically, we just go along with what's going on. We follow the crowd. And, you know where you're at with that. All of us are at different stages of growth as souls. But the leaders of the new earth are awakening now. And they're in that process of going into the depths of the underworld, the foundations of where rotten roots have been growing, rotten seeds, if you like, into fruition. And we're pulling those up and seeding new seeds that we really do want to grow. Now, Pluto is also retrograde at the moment, and you can check all the astrological stuff out through foreverconscious.com. Yasmin's got some really, really great articles there to check out. Pluto retrograde actually totally coincides with the US. The US is retrograde in Pluto, the whole nation, the whole states. Chart basically. So there's a lot of secrets to be revealed in this coming year, and both Pluto and Mercury are going retrograde at the time of this eclipse corridor. So I would like you just to embody this statement: life is happening for me, not to me. It's really important, okay, because with everything that's happening, if something exits your life and you didn't make that conscious choice to let it go, it's going to feel like it's being taken from you. But what's happening is when you set intentions, then your soul is now in control and is starting to take away from your life the things you don't need. And if you're honest deep down inside of yourself, you know the version of you want to be, right? So these eclipses are phenomenal for helping you really get on track if you've said one thing but done another. So embrace the changes, embrace the shifts. And, Scorpio and Pluto, these are kings of the underworld going into our fears, false evidence appearing real. Scared is sacred, scrambled. When we go into the things we're scared of and we get curious rather than trying to avoid them, we receive the magic, the gold. So, I want to talk about death in particular because so many of us have made choices just to do as we're told, even though they've been totally out of alignment with what our heart tells us is true, because we're scared. We're scared of getting it wrong and suffering, being incarcerated, dying, right? Being maimed, being hurt permanently, not being able to overcome something. And when you actually embrace death as the next frontier, it's inevitable. We are all going to die. We're all going to leave this skin suit at some point, but we're making a choice to fully embody it whilst we're here on this earth and to have the best possible time. Think about how much the mainstream entertainment industry, pop culture, glorifies our fears. How much detail is in the movies, in the TV series, in the books that just go into so much horrific detail about what the human is capable of doing to another human. Never mind ETs, never mind animals. Now, what if we just stopped doing that? What if we actually just started imagining the very best that humans could do to each other, that ETs could do for us, that could happen in this world? I really invite you to shift your focus, because as starseeds, that's exactly what we have to do. We cannot have our full power and abuse it because we haven't fallen in love with our shadow. We haven't learned how to integrate our lower frequencies. When you join me for these full moon energy healings and light language transmissions, you are learning to love up your shadow, as much of your shadow as you possibly can in the shortest amount of time, so you're not being held back by your own self, by denying and ignoring parts of you that are uncomfortable to face. So that's the invitation for this coming Thursday. Remember to book up early. I only have space for 100, so it's really, really important that you book up ASAP, whether you're catching the replay or you're joining me live. And in the meantime, tonight, you can join me for yoga. Remember, multidimensional yoga is only online. I only offer it online Monday evenings, 7:30. The next one, so next week, will be bang on the 16th. It will be the day of the eclipse. The eclipse will have just occurred. So it's going to be super, super nurturing, right? This week, we're setting the tone. I am divine desire. I am my divine authority. I am in love with my shadow. What do these things mean? We're exploring them over this month. And also on Wednesday lunchtimes on the Star Peace Facebook page, I'm there for a reason, trust. On the Star Peace Facebook page, we always have a live, and I'm joined by the lovely Lara Fairy Love this Wednesday at 1 p.m. BST, work it out in terms of your time zone, to talk about fanny bits, you know, girls' bits down here, the names that have been given to girls' bits, all the different parts of our sexual and reproductive anatomy, and just how that gender war programming is seeded even in these Latin root names of words that basically associate our private parts with shame, with dirtiness, with things that really have nothing to do with the fact that this is how we create life and grow it and birth it. So I really would love you to come and join me. Like, Lara is a phenomenal force to be inspired by. And we did a session with her last week. Every Wednesday, we're showing up live, 1 p.m. in the Facebook Star Piece page. You can, again, join the link below. I'm going to stop chatting now because I really want to get you excited about joining me. Remember, new moons, free on YouTube once a month, the co-creations, full moons, inner circle, nominal fee, like, you know, it's affordable. And if you've got any problem affording it, get in touch with us. And then we also have the Monday night yoga, and we have the Wednesday lives on the Facebook page. So all of this is really easily accessible for those of you who want to start building those secure foundations, because being in the flow state is how we manifest the 5D frequency, the 5D new earth. And learning to be in that state isn't just an emotional shift. It's not just a psychological shift. It's not just a spiritual shift. It's also a physical shift. So this oxytocin, adrenaline thing has to be looked at. And part of that is, if we want to live in a love-fueled world, we have to really look at how our own bodies are actually programmed to be fueled by adrenaline. It's what we're used to, right? So I'm doing loads of work around that mind, body, spirit, and I'm inviting you in. And remember, if you are a creative who's got a story to tell and you are ready to shift the narrative in the mainstream and pop culture, head over to rosannahannis.com. Check out what I've got for you there. And for everyone else who's awakening and wants a pathway to follow, head over to rosieglow.com and join us for our wonderful coaching programs, because Fearless, Loved Up and Free to Be Me is the foundation platform for all awakening star seeds, that the new earth leaders. Okay, I really want to make that clear to everybody, and I invite you to check everything out. For now, I look forward to seeing you with the Thursday full moon lunar eclipse in Scorpio, and for a phenomenal opportunity to fall in love with our shadow, love up our fears, and basically let go of the stuff that is stopping us move forward bravely. We've just had, or we're just having on the 12th, Jupiter stepping into Aries. There's going to be this force building for us to move forward. And if we're really aligned with our intention and we've got integrity in place, that's going to be amazing. But if we haven't lined up with our higher selves and we're still operating from our egos, it's going to be a bit of a trip, right? So let's align with the divine, and always, I'll see you Thursday. Lots of love. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, hit the notifications, and why not share it with a friend? Take care for now.